For a long time, I've been a little curious about Tomodachi Life, but when they announced a new version for the Switch, I decided that I had to check it out. I played the demo that came out before launch and really enjoyed it, and picked it up right when it was released, and now I've put in about 45 hours over the past 3 weeks and reached the credits. It's a great game, and if you've been on the fence about it, I can just say now that I recommend it, and we're just going to talk about it here and get a little deeper into my thoughts on it. Going into the game, I had a little bit of an idea of what to expect from what I saw of clips of the original game, but it still didn't exactly come out the way I expected. Tomodachi Life is something like a cross between The Sims and Animal Crossing, with a big emphasis on text-to-speech interactions of your Miis. You make a bunch of your own Miis to live on a customizable island, and then give them neighbors, gifts, and amenities to interact with. It's a pretty common sim formula, but things get interesting when you factor in how much control you have over the game. You can really make whatever you want, have the Miis say whatever lingo you decide to tell them, and there really are no filters here whatsoever. The game, at first, I found to be hilarious, and putting whatever I thought might lead to a funny conversation was enough to get me interested. It reminded me a lot of Mad Libs, if you remember those things, where you put in the nouns and verbs that you want and then get a funny result. You can end up with passionate fans discussing their love of Minecraft Steve, and I have to applaud Nintendo for allowing people to go as far as they want to with the text here. You can make the Miis say some absolutely terrible things, or you can keep it PG, and that's up to your own choice as a player. It can be pretty easy to pick out whatever your favorite TV show characters are and dump them onto an island, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of making my own Miis as well. Usually it would start with a costume piece that I find at the daily shop, and then I'd be compelled to make somebody that suits that archetype. I tried to make a skeleton Mii with the creator tools, and ended up with Skeletina, who, when released out onto the island, ended up having a crush on a bunch of people, and then was constantly turned down. The game's consistent doling out of costumes and treasures made it easy to be inspired to make new stuff for my island, and I fell into a really good rhythm of building the island up and watching the Miis interact. I do wish there was slightly more customization for personalities, since the Miis at the end of the day all just happen to be friends, and you can't really make anyone that's truly rude or angry. I tried to make a really angry businessman type Mii, and he just kind of ended up being friends with everybody.
One sheep, two sheep.
While it does start a little slow at first, once you start creating a bunch of Miis, it really fills out the island, and it turns into something like an aquarium, where you can just mill about and see what everybody's up to, and kind of watch them from an outsider perspective. There's some really great Nintendo weirdness to the game, where all of the objects are just pictures of actual real things, and the Miis will consistently do stuff that you don't expect. The limit of Miis that you can actually include in your island is pretty high at 70, and by this point I've only filled out about half of that. The main thing preventing me from making more Miis was that the newer ones that you make tend to feel a little bit less important, and you just end up not really leveling them up very much. For the first week and a half, I felt like I was constantly seeing new things on the island and earning new items to decorate with. But at some point, it did begin to slow down a little bit. It ended up feeling like you were more looking forward to something new and quirky, as opposed to something being genuinely hilarious. I think eventually that stuff just gets old, and you have to be more invested on the sim side of the game. It's just that as the friend meetings and dream sequences started to repeat, I found myself skipping through dialogue a lot more and kind of losing the point of it all. Repetition in games like this is to be expected for sure, but eventually the limited minigames become very noticeable, and you end up doing a small handful of quizzes over and over just to see some new item. Speaking of the minigames, the bowling minigame is weirdly hard, and I think I tried it like 10 times and never succeeded. Tomodachi Life is absolutely designed to be best in small chunks, which doesn't really align with how I play games these days, so your experience may vary. I had a somewhat similar experience with Animal Crossing, where I used to play the older games for months and months and months before moving on, but with New Horizons on Switch, I played it for a while and then got a little tired of going through the motions. Tomodachi Life doesn't restrict you from earning things as much as Animal Crossing does on a day-by-day basis, but I think that it has a similar design where you aren't really expected to pour dozens of hours at a time. I really do appreciate though that Tomodachi Life never feels like there isn't anything to do, because by the time you're done editing something on your island, there'll be more Miis that are willing to talk to you and do some stuff. And don't get me wrong, even with the minigames and interactions repeating a little bit, there were occasions where new things would still happen 40 hours in, and they would be very entertaining to see. I wouldn't say that there's a lack of things to the point where it crosses a line.
You're chasing me.
It really feels like there's just nothing like Tomodachi Life out there. I compare it to things like The Sims or whatever, but at the end of the day, it has its own vibe to it that makes it pretty special. I feel like more and more every day, I'm more interested in unique experiences in games as opposed to high quality, whatever that means. So even if Tomodachi Life is a little rough around the edges, I'm really engaged with its ideas. Being able to have full control over your Miis, the island's layout, and even the objects they own means a lot in keeping the game fun and interesting. I love games that allow you to flex your creativity, like in The Sims or Animal Crossing, because it gives you so much freedom to tailor your experience. I had a great time giving treasures to whichever Miis felt appropriate for them, and to make custom designs for the ones that needed a little more personalization. Making funny foods or outdoor decorations, while a little bit limited in options, gives the Miis something tangible to work with, and with a little elbow grease, you can make some very impressive things. This does come with a big caveat though, because creative tools in games are only as good as people are willing to invest in them. So even if the game gives you plenty of options, taking an hour or more to design a new object can feel like a big time sink that I was a little hesitant to jump into. It's great when you have time to kill, and I do enjoy that process. I like drawing and making stuff, but that's not everybody's cup of tea. So if you're a person that's more just interested in the Mad Libs funny dialogue, I think that there is stuff for you there, but you're losing a big part of the experience. There was some discussion I saw about how the game has no online sharing features and that should have been included, which is a little bit hard to say for me. I'm not actually sure if the game would be better if I was freely allowed to grab whatever I wanted to online. I think it might have been too easy to stuff my island with random pre-existing characters and objects, instead of making and having to at least remake my own in my own way. Maybe if they made the online store just incredibly expensive with the in-game currency, that could be more of a deliberate choice to add something to your island. But if it was as cheap and easy as it is to get your own custom treasures, I think it would kind of spoil the whole game. There's a lot to be said about just having a group of little characters that get to interact with a handful of things that you made yourself. My first design was super simple because I didn't understand the tools, and I just made a cake with my carrot character's face on it, and then it became this weird craze because everybody was talking about it, maybe because it was the only thing I had. The customization features in the game are pretty robust and well made, but there were a few things that I was disappointed to see. For starters, you can create exterior designs for the Mii's houses, but for some reason there are no pre-made designs at all. Interiors allow you to have a lot of flexibility with the furniture sets and wallpapers, but the outside has one standard design and then it's entirely up for you to make them. The 3D object templates are made of simple shapes, which can be pretty restrictive, so not having any standard exteriors that are made by the actual game felt a little weird. When it comes to your island layout, some elevation options would also have gone a long way, because the layout does end up feeling a little flat without at least a second floor. I was hoping to put a castle on a hill, for example, but there isn't much you can do there.
Does anyone want to talk about world peace?
No.
That's all you ever talk about?
From the start, I was having fun with the silly conversations, but ended up getting a lot more out of actually customizing and decorating the island. It has to be said that the game does feel complete, which is something that maybe shouldn't need to be said, but it is nice to see that there won't be some updates spread out over the course of a year or something. There's a lot to do here, it's just a matter of if it's something that you personally will like to do, and if you find its sense of humor entertaining. It likes to do a lot of weird stuff, but sometimes that stuff gets a little repetitive. So when you get bored of that, I think that you need to be also interested in that artistic side, or you might feel like you didn't get the proper experience. Of course, I'd love to see a little bit more variety in the conversations, or even alternatives to the same general dialogue boxes, but there was certainly enough here to keep me entertained long enough to want to experiment and try to make new stuff. Now that I've leveled my island almost up to 100 and got to the credits, I'm looking forward to checking in every once in a while to see what's new and look for the seasonal items. I think back when the Miis were originally introduced, they really struck gold, and even now, almost 20 years later, we can still enjoy the same simple structure of making a character into a Mii and then seeing them out in the world. It's kind of cool at the end of the day that we're still seeing cool, interesting games with Miis in them. So let me know down below if you've been playing the Tomodachi Life Living the Dream game for the Nintendo Switch family of systems, and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to see what you like to make and what you like to do in it. I worry I might have come across a little negative here. Forgive me if I did, but I think the game started really strong for me originally, and then kind of fell into a comfortable, fun rhythm, which is perfectly fine too. Thanks for watching this little video here. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you could like the channel, subscribe to the video, what? You get the idea. Bye.